You know how they say that there is power in your tongue? Well, it's true. An unpopular opinion of mine is that there is some truth to what you write in your songs. Stay with me. Let's be real. Realistically, you can't expect to grow personally and artistically if you keep circling down the same destructive drain. Our brains can't tell the difference between lies and truth. Our subconscious simply absorbs anything we feed it. This also feeds into listening to music in general. I feel like that I don't resonate with, for example, Summer Walker's songs because it's just not in the same frequency that I would like to be in. So Summer Walker's songs are typically about sadness, heartbreak, and just navigating, finding her way through love, but through a series of unfortunate events, let's be real. But it also has an element of toxicness in it that I don't agree with. So, okay, I don't want to go into this whole rabbit hole, but in her previous albums, what is it called? Over It and Still Over It. Even though she describes how she's been wronged, she also still has that resentment and that hatred in her for that person who did her wrong. On her album, Still Over It, there are multiple songs that engage with this toxicness and this type of negative vibration, negative sphere of relationships and love. For example, the song Toxic is just her talking about her wanting to stay in this situation. She doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to believe anybody about what they're saying about the truth, and she doesn't want to hear it. Basically putting this person over herself because she doesn't have the backbone to leave or to stand up for herself or to love her to love herself first. There's a reason why there was a trilogy of these albums: Over It, Still Over It, and Finally Over It. See, it works well for her as an artist because she saw her growth and she went through the journey of growth within love through those 3 albums. But as the consumer ourselves, that's where we can get stuck in those vibrations and those frequencies. It's a bit of a slippery slope, these things, because as the artist, music is self-expression. For an artist who sings about real life circumstances, this is the way to get it off of our chests and to grow artistically. So I don't even blame Summer Walker. No, this ain't even a hate towards the lady. Love her down. But you could see that she grew from Over It to Finally Over It. But the consumers who are listening to Over It over and over and over again, and Still Over It over and over and over again, will still mentally be in that cycle of things. And maybe that's because that's just where they're at in life. Maybe that's because they love that type of tune. They love that type of chorus. They love that type of vibe, that dark R&B, that trap R&B, opposed to Finally Over It's jazz influence and a little bit of a bossa nova vibe, with more hopeful and uplifting music. What I can say for sure is that those consumers who are just listening to those type of albums with those type of frequencies are mentally still in the same position that Summer Walker was at when she released those albums, And that's because they just recycle it over and in their heads. You can't expect growth if you are consuming the same things that the past who you want to get away from, was listening to. That doesn't even make sense, you know what I mean? I'm just using Summer Walker as a vague example because this is a major artist who we've seen in the limelight growth from the horrible heartbreak that she faced all the way up until the self-liberation, self-expressive, self-love promoting woman that she is today. So we saw from when she was going through those emotions where she didn't feel like enough, where she didn't feel like she was good enough to leave this man, or where she wasn't accepting her past and she wasn't looking within, basically. And music is frequency. So if this person has a low frequency within themselves, low as in like negative, and they are putting that out onto a song, that song is going to translate those frequencies that person is feeling, because emotion, the lyrics are sad, deep, destructive almost, and the emotions follow suit. So if she puts that out into the world, what do you think you're going to receive back? Those emotions. And if it's a thing where you repeat and recycle and rinse these emotions and these frequencies, and you listen to it over and over and over again, what outcomes do you think you would have? What type of thoughts do you think you would have? What type of emotions do you think you would feel? What you listen to, your subconscious will take and put that into your routine. If you wake up in the morning and then you listen to a negative song, like a song that is talking about anything that is just negative, how do you think your day would look? Do you think that if a bad situation were to happen later on in that day, that you would look at it in the most positive light? That you wouldn't look at it and be like, but all is well? Would you look at the same cup as half empty or half full if you were to listen to those negative songs at the start of your day, or just on a regular? No, of course not. Let's be realistic. Like, songs, what you listen to and what you feed your subconscious is automatically exchanged for what you put out into the world, for how you view the world, for how you deal with social interactions, how you deal with problems that come your way. Because I'm not saying that problems will never come your way. They will, but it's all about how you deal with it. And how your brain is programmed is definitely what will be shown through your actions. You see where I'm getting at now? That's why when I started my music journey, I was absolutely so confused as to why I never had any growth. Like, I was singing all of these amazing songs. I was writing them down. I had like an album worth of songs, and they were due to come out at one point. But then I just felt so stuck and so like in the same loop. I was thinking, like, is this even working? Does this even make sense? Am I even like, is this self-expression? Like, because I thought that I was supposed to just sing and get my emotions out onto this song, and then the song and these emotions are just dealt with, and then my problems are solved, and then it's not heavy on my chest anymore. No, of course that wouldn't work. Why would that work? That doesn't even make sense. Yes, on one hand, it is great to have the self-expression, just putting yourself on paper, because that helps you see your problems very clearly and helps you deal with the problems very clearly. But what I was doing was I was making constant songs in the same vibration, same frequency, same negativity, with no urge of growth. I was putting myself out in front of me on a paper, and I was just looking at myself. And then at the end of the day, close that paper and I just walk away, because I thought that was me doing my shadow work. No, that's just me looking at myself in the mirror and doing nothing with it. No ounce of growth, no ounce of unpacking, no ounce of trying to understand why I felt like this or what it was that was holding me back like this. So I just stayed in the same loop, and that loop tore me down, all the way down. I was having breakdowns all the time, more often than less. And I just figured out, like, what is it that has me like this every single day? I understand that the situations are the initial cause of the emotion that I was feeling, but what was it that was making me wake up every day with just heaviness on my mind, regardless if the situation was there or not? It was an extra added pressure. And I realized that I'm still in the same vibrations that I want to escape from. And me were clashing. We were clashing. Yeah, that was it. I realized that, yes, it is amazing to have music as an outlet to express how I'm feeling, but within that same outlet, I should be looking for answers, looking for ways out, looking for ways to self-improve. But I just let it all out and just left it there and kept on listening to it over and over again. So in result, what I did was I started making hopeful music. I started making music wishing to be a different version, a better version of myself before I even knew what she looked like. And because I got to look to something different, I used different frequencies, I used different instrumentals that gave me a different feeling. I blossomed after that. But what I can say is that that is the number one thing that has helped me get out of my hard place. But I have a question for you. If you're stuck in a hard place and you base your music off of those negative energies and vibrations and emotions, do you actually think that you can grow from that personally and artistically? Look at the conversation people are having about Drake and his 3 albums. Anyways, thank you for answering our FaceTime call. Hopefully I'll call you soon. Or you can call me. Whatever you want. Bye.